All right, so welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the first panel discussion and the small refreshments we have prepared for you. So without further ado, let's move on to our second round of panelists. The title of this panel is StratCom and Disinformation Channels as a New Mainstream. This panel will be moderated by Samuel Marec, Slovak publicist, and the panelists are the following. Domician Zahorian, co-founder of Nest Institute, Vladimír Šnídl, journalist from Deník N, and Andrea Michalcová, the director of the Center for the Informed Society.
Right, ladies and gentlemen. This discussion focuses on a shift that many of us have been watching unfold in real time, the transformation of strategic communication and disinformation channels from the margins of society into something that resembles the new mainstream. What we're seeing is not just the spread of false narratives, it's a re-engineering of the information environment itself. That is why we'll explore how StratCom can respond in a world where disinformation is no longer an exception, but part of the everyday information flow. My name is Samuel Marec, but I'll be leading the discussion, but once more I would please want you to welcome Andrea Michalcová, director of the Center for Informed Society based in Prague, Mr. Domician Zahorian, co-founder of the new Security Threats Institute, NEST, and Vladimír Šnídl, journalist from Deník N, focusing on hoaxes and propaganda. And the reason he's not sitting there, but he's standing, is he's going to first give you a presentation of about 10 minutes. So please go ahead.
Hello. First of all, be patient with my Erasmus English. Also, when you see some mistakes, so be patient, but pictures are understandable. In my 10 minutes, I will try just to summarize, not that we have disinformation, but why disinformation work and how to talk to people who believes disinformation. Like most of you, I studied social science and I graduated from political science. But only recently I realized that the best study for this is psychology, because disinformation work via psychology. And since I am not a psychologist, I will just give you the minimum what we need to know for understanding disinformation. This minimum is here. Why is so difficult to convince somebody that he believes in a hoax? Because hoax confirm his opinion. This is important to realize. Each of us tend to believe information or disinformation that confirm our opinion. Psychologists call this confirmation bias or tunnel vision, that we have some bias. I don't know, young people have bias against adult people, men against women, women against men, and so on. And then they will believe only what they confirm it. And now imagine you have person with pro-Russian sentiment. What this kind of person will believe? Since I focus on this topic for several years, I add myself in Facebook to various pro-Russian groups, anti-vaxxer groups, and so on. So I consume the same content as people who believe in disinformation. For years and years, I saw in Facebook this kind of maps or this kind of narratives. That why everybody criticize Russia, that Russia is aggressive. Look, Russia is surrounded by American or NATO military bases. So when you, for years and years, see these kind of narratives, and in 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine, you will not believe that the Russian is aggressor. You will believe that Russia is just defending itself. Of course, reality is this. That, for example, these maps are maps are fake because most of the military bases do not exist, and in several countries, Russia have military bases. But this fact will be not spread in Facebook, in the same groups, because this does not confirm their bias. So people also now, they will just spread only this kind of videos, statuses, reels that confirm their pro-Russian bias. And the second thing is emotions. Disinformation actors know that if they scare people, they will not think. They will not think because their behavior is controlled by amygdala. And they know that there is one there's one perfect way how to scare people. What is the best way how to scare people? Via children. Also in Slovakia, disinformation actor, for example, communicate vaccination via children. Look at this skirt, babies. They heart babies. And we will protect your babies. The very famous story from Russian propaganda comes from 2014 when Russian television launched or released a story that Ukrainians crucified a young boy. They hurt children, and we need to defend our children. Children works because of amygdala. Why there is a big hate against LGBT people? Because when you are in Nazi or pro-Russian groups in Facebook, when you see any content related to LGBT people, you see this. You see naked people who walk the streets and who influence children. The real prides in Slovakia look like this. So these are the real prides. These are gay prides for Facebook. And the game changer, of course, came with social media. This is a space where most of the people now, or big portion of people, create their opinion on anything. And what is the problem? Nobody prepare people on social media. And this is my message also for all of you who either work with children or students, or you can work with other people. Try to prepare them on social media. Because in social media they consume propaganda, not in books. So try to figure out how to prepare also your parents maybe on social media. So, why? You have this, there you have two different videos about COVID. Real doctor who says that COVID was a real problem, conspiracy theorist who said that COVID doesn't exist. Who is going to win in social media? Of course, conspiracy theorists. Because of algorithm. Because algorithm work like this. Algorithm promote not information that are verified, but information that are based on emotions and based on conspiracy theories and so on. So when you are ordinary user of social media, you can receive this kind of content every day. And what is another point? They don't need to follow. They don't need manually to click on these sites to consume it. Recently, algorithm work like this, that what we saw in Facebook and Instagram, in Facebook and Instagram, it was content shared by our friends and shared by pages that we liked, that we followed. Recently, it changed when the TikTok came. Now, you, for example, saw in Instagram some content from the site you follow. You spend 3 seconds in content that you follow, for example, about football. And after that, algorithm show you reel about the same content, but from page you did not follow. So as I said, these people in Facebook, they don't need to follow these pages. Algorithm offer them automatically. So what we can do, as I said, focus on this. This is the space when your parents, your friends, your voters create their opinion. So what we can do, we can maybe ask them, persuade them. What about to follow something more? What about to change the news feed? Or we need to be active on social media. We need to be more active. Many people have, or many of you have your profile in Facebook, but not each of us is able to make viral content. So what I recommend, if you want to be a bit active in social media, you have to engage young people, creative people, to help you to create content. Because many people in my age, I'm in age of 40, maybe 42, maybe I don't look like, they think that doing Facebook means that I write press release and I will copy press release to Facebook. Oh. Making content in social media means you have to engage people, young people, who will produce, or who will make you reels, short videos that can catch the algorithm. And there are some of you, like Marek Mach in behind, that he shows that it's possible. It's possible to create also positive pro-Western content that became viral. We need more this content. We need to be equal also here. And last thing, how to communicate to people. Don't debunk, but ask. How you can maybe combat confirmation bias via questions. Let people think. I had many discussions in schools, and I heard many disinformation. And I have all the time prepared this question. I will not tell you that you believe hoax. No. I did not read it. I would be interested, where did you read it? Show me. Maybe they can only tell you that I read it on the internet, or they can show you something. Look at this video. Look at this video. Look at this guy. He confirmed this what I'm telling. So continue with questions. Just ask them if they know the source and why you trust particularly this source. In every topic, it's enough to use these questions. Ask them about source and talk not about the topic, talk about source. And via this source, teach them to focus. Teach them about sources. And be patient. Don't expect from people that they will admit that they are wrong. No, they will not admit they are wrong. But with this question, you can put a B in someone's bonnet, or as we say in Slovak, you can nasadiť chrobáka, put the buck to the head. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Vlado. Now the plan is as follows. We're going to discuss the disinformation ecosystem in Slovakia and in Czech Republic, and the situation standard media find themselves in, but since I'm pretty sure that most of us are quite familiar with those topics, the good news is we want to focus half of the discussion should be dedicated to solutions, to actual solutions. That's a topic that we're very much looking forward to. I'm very interested in what I'm going to hear. But anyway, my first question is, let's discuss Slovakia and Czech Republic as two countries to compare. What do Slovak and Czech disinformation ecosystems have in common? What would you say?
Okay, if I may start, I would like to thank the organizers for the great opportunity to come here and spend these 2 days with you. Thanks to David and Miroslav and his team. So when we are talking about disinformation, and everything was what Vladimir just said, I just underline it, but the main problem and what is similar in Slovakia and Czech Republic is that we are under long-term attack of hybrid threats from Russia. This is something that didn't appear here for the last 2 or 3 years. It was here since 2014, since annexation of Crimea. We have the data showing that the popular web page Newsfront was the source of all the disinformation, and it was orchestrated by Russian secret services. So what is similar in Czech Republic and Slovakia is that we are under long-term, consistent, systemic attack of the hybrid and active measures from Russia. And that's the thing that we need to understand, that this is not something that is appearing on internet. The active measures from Russia and Soviet Union, they have 100 years of history. They have the experience, they have money, they have people who are experts in doing it. So this is not by accident here. And both Slovakia and Czech Republic are systematically targeted. And we see the results, unfortunately, by the polarized society, by the election results. And this is something that is really pessimistic for the future, I would say. And I'm really happy that we are going to talk about some solutions, because that's the most important part. But we need to keep in mind that we are at war in our minds, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that in both countries, in Czech Republic and in Slovakia, we, in a way, failed the fight against the hybrid threats. And there are a lot of similarities, starting with the acknowledgement of the threat. And as it was said also on the first panel that we had in Slovakia, but also in the Czech Republic, so many strategies on how to counter hybrid threats, but the execution and the willingness to act was very low. And the same goes for the current government in the Czech Republic who is leaving. They failed the implementation of these strategies and actions plan, etc. So and they failed in strategic communication. They had many attempts, but unfortunately, they do also believe, also the ruling parties, of the narrative of freedom of speech, then it's very difficult then to adjust the mindset to the new information environment. Because also this is the crucial thing, that democratic parties, they didn't, they haven't done the switch what happened in the information space. And as Vlado mentioned, that the communication style on social media and elsewhere has changed, and they still haven't adapted to that. So I see this as a big issue.
Mm-hmm. But maybe, I mean, there's still, for now, there's a difference probably between Slovakia and the Czech Republic. They've had elections, quite unfortunate results. We'll see what happens. But my perception is that there's a difference in size and maybe a difference in influence with the disinformation ecosystems. I mean, our major disinformation actor is basically our prime minister, right? That's a big difference compared to Czech Republic. We'll see what happens there, but for now, is there a difference in, say, influence or the size of the whole disinformation crowd.
But Czech Republic will follow this playbook because the new prime minister will also spread disinformation, as he was already doing it during the campaign. But I would say that similarities are also in, well, thanks to the language proximity, there 1/3 of disinfo narratives are practically the same, and the content is the same. Also, generally, the types of narratives like undermine the trust to the authorities, mainstream media, and practically to the truth is the same. But what I find different is that in Czech Republic, you have only 5 to 7% of people who have the tendency to trust to the pro-Russian narrative. In Slovakia, this percentage of population is much higher. Also, the tendencies to trust generally into the conspiracy theories. In Czech Republic, this tendency is much lower than in Slovakia. But if I have to compare the resilience on the institutional level, it's not that high, and it's very similar.
Okay.
Czech Republic and Slovakia. Yes, you have more check and balances in Czech Republic. You have two-chamber parliament. Yeah. You can say, like in Czech Republic, we have stronger intelligence community and very resilient to various attempts of political influence. And other things. But when you look into actual executions, what measures, what countermeasures were adopted within the last 4 years, they are very little. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have for example, yes, in the last term, this government, they adopted a new sanctions law. But again, the execution is very limited.
Okay.
Okay,
there are some differences in opinions of the general public in Slovakia and the Czech Republic, but would you say that the situation as such, the situation that the two countries find themselves in, is generally the same? And is the prospect the same? Is the problem the same? Is the size of the problem the same?
If I may, I would say that the underlying problems might be a little bit different because the society is different. Of course, as Andrea mentioned, the polls are showing that there is a higher probability for people to believe in Russian narratives in Slovakia, and there is lower trust in institutions, etc., etc. But if you look at the two indicators for me, as I was working for the Ministry of Interior in Slovakia, we had a chance to interact with people from Czech Republic from their ministries. And basically it's the same thing, although they are maybe 2 or 3 years behind us. And you see the same lack of political will to do something. We all have written a lot of analytical materials, reports, we provided a lot of recommendations, but the political will was almost on the rhetorical level, as we said with my colleagues. And this is something that we do see in Czech Republic as well, that there are many people, many civil servants and officials that they want to do something, but the political will is really low. So this is something that is similar. And one more sentence. Me and my colleagues and Andrea, we were doing some analytical materials for comparing Slovakia and Czech Republic. And basically the problems are the same, the recommendations are the same, but Czech Republic is 2 or 3 years behind us. And we'll see how strong the institutions will be, how they will handle this. And we have seen that in Slovakia, the institutions were really swept by the new government, and all the programs regarding hybrid threats, disinformation, were basically abandoned from 95%. There are just few here and there some activities, but they are not systemic. So we are very much similar, and we will see how much the Czech Republic will handle this kind of actions. That
Maybe we'll see in 2 years, because it feels like the Czech Republic is always 2 years behind us, both politically and maybe as a society. Yeah, we'll see. Let's talk about media a bit. There are standard media outlets in both countries. In fact, there are still standard media outlets in all countries of Europe. What position are they in when they're supposed to fight disinformation channels? Can they succeed?
Big portion of people take information from not from television, not from papers, but from social media. Especially people in age of 20, teenage, they absolutely don't have a custom to leave social media and launch television. But it doesn't mean that they don't consume information from real media or from standard media. But they consume information from standard media only if algorithm show this information on Instagram or on Facebook. So what it means for media, they also have to adapt on the situation, and also our daily, and also we also try to do it. We engaged people, 5 or 6 people. They do just social media content, just social media content. What I write as a journalist, they adjust, they transform to reels, they transform to stories, because there is no other way how to deliver this content to especially young people. So this is the role of social media. They need to be more active in social media. The real media need to be more active in social media.
Okay, but if you're facing alternative media as an ecosystem, or even possibly, I mean, if you look at Robert Fico, he doesn't even need to go and talk to the mainstream media because he's got an ecosystem of his own. What can you do?
Yes, but also in Slovakia, also politicians of Smer, they need to react on findings of real media, even though they don't communicate to them. For example, in Slovakia, from summer, you could see topic of haciendas that were built from Eurofunds. It became big topic, and also political from government needed to react it. How the topic started? The media, the journalist brought this information about these haciendas via social media. This information got also to the voters of Robert Fico, and they need to react it. So they still need to count with us, even when they don't communicate with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If I may add, we need to understand that there is still a lot of space for the traditional media. Although the Slovak society is polarized, we are still polarized approximately half by half. So still there is a lot of people who are reading the traditional media. And that's the follow-up for the first panel, that we need to adapt to the new reality. We need to adapt. This is not something new. And even Robert Fico and all the politicians, they're often using the networks or channels that are amplifying their messages. So again, this is not something that appeared here from last week, but it was built systematically, and we can see even in our data and analytical works that these networks are real and they are functioning for many years. So that is something that we need to also explain to the general public, that this is not natural. This is artificial from some part, and it causes many problems for our democracy.
Mm-hmm.
In Czech Republic, the public broadcaster, the Czech television and the Czech radio, they still do have a big outreach and a big trust among the society. That's why also new prime minister, one of the first things he will do very likely is to attack these two institutions, change the funding, do some kind of fusion.
Like in Slovakia.
And try to, have some political influence through the council of the institution. So I see the similar playbook. And if you are saying, well, the similar playbook is also whether like the, I would say, mainstream environment and the alternative environment that, yes, of course, there is a new ecosystem, and the populist leaders, they don't need the mainstream. Even like Andrej Babiš, he went only, I think, to one debate, and he refused to go to the Czech television, like the main political debate, because, of course, he created his own ecosystem, as Domitian mentioned. So the solution has to be that you have to find also your own ecosystem and new ways and new forms of communication. Use also the other actors on social media, and you have to base your communication on emotions. As Vlado mentioned, that people do care about emotions, and emotions make the outreach. So, and it's possible to do it also from the democratic bloc, if I have to say, but only mainly populists are using it.
Yeah, we'll get to solutions in about 3 minutes. The question before that I want to ask is, you've said there's a new ecosystem, you've said there's a new reality, we all agree on that. It's not coming back. So are the alternative media outlets the new mainstream, or are they a part of the mainstream? Have they entered the mainstream, and are they a part of it, or what would you say?
Maybe we will not agree, but I don't consider alternative media in Slovakia as the most important actor in this field. Now, the biggest disinformation actors are the concrete politicians, not alternative media, the concrete politicians. As you said, Robert Fico has a much bigger impact also on social media than any of alternative media.
He's basically a media outlet himself. He doesn't need anything else.
He is. So now who has the big impact? The big impact has characters who are influential in social media, but the real these alternative channels like Infovojna, Hlavné správy, Zemavek, just a very small percent of population really consume this media in original. So we don't have data, but there are not, I guess, not 10% of population that every day listen to Infovojna. No. If they get their narratives, again, they get it via social media.
Okay.
So alternative media are just on one of the actors, but I don't consider them as the most important.
If I can add, if you remember a long time ago, it was year 2014, 15, 16, there was, as Vlado mentioned, the media Zemavek or Slobodný vysielač, who already back then went to Russia and negotiated some kind of support and agreement. And it was 10 years ago. And we see that when we look at the data with my colleagues, we still see this kind of alternative outlets or disinformation media. I call them rather disinformation media. We still see them active today. And when we look at data for the last 2 years, we have seen, for example, Slobodný vysielač was, by looking at data, it showed us that Slobodný vysielač was systematically taking and translating the information from Russian Telegram channels, from Russian military correspondents, from Russian politicians, and it was constantly and systematically feeding it into Slovakia. So this is something that we see that looking 10 years ago, we saw that they had some cooperations with Russians, and looking at this now, we see that still, even after 10 years, there is this streamline, a really strong streamline of disinformation and propaganda into Slovakia through the channel of Slobodný vysielač. And we see that they are doing it consistently 24/7, 365 days in a year. And although they are not consumed by many, as Vlado said, by this consistency and by this support of these narratives, they are spreading this information across the Slovak internet. So people doesn't have to necessarily read Infovojna, but they can get to the ideas from the second level of amplifiers who are sharing it across the Slovak internet. So I would say that this is the big issue. And as I said before, it didn't start yesterday. It started 10 years ago. And the politicians, that's my don't quote me on that, but my hypothesis is that the politicians are actively using this kind of environment that we are in, because the politicians didn't build the environment on their own. They are capitalizing on it. So this is a serious issue, and is a kind of a byproduct. The political situation is byproduct of this long-term influence.
Okay, yeah, I would absolutely agree with you on that. So we've agreed that the problem is that there are actually multiple problems, and they are very, very serious, and the situation is dire. So let's talk solutions. What needs to be done? What can we do? What can the four of us here sitting on this stage, what can we do?
We have to, well, if you look what is happening on like in the world right now, with possible escalation of Russian aggression also on NATO within a few years, as many intelligence agencies are saying publicly that it might happen within 2 to 5 years. So we have to act, everyone. And we have to look where it's working. And I'm looking to my colleagues from the north, Sweden, Finland, and the Baltic countries, where they, long time ago, have approached the whole of society approach in resilience building. So without this, we can't win practically. And we have to engage other sectors. Of course, we have to start with politicians. We have to acknowledge the threat. But yes, when you have a government like in Slovakia, it's impossible. Within the new Czech government, it will be impossible too. And the situation will change. However, in the new coalition agreement, it says that the government will fight with hybrid threats and will adopt some kind of strategic communication. But we can imagine that it will be their way of facing with this program. So we have to make awareness for different sectors and find the leaders who will not be afraid to step out of their comfort zone and speak publicly. So what I see also as a difference in the, like within our two countries is the private sector. And I want to talk about the private sector in the Czech Republic. There is strong philanthropic community, but not only that, many actors from the private sector are willing to talk to the government, lobby for adapting concrete countermeasures towards hybrid threats and towards changing security environment globally. In terms also of preparedness for crises, etc. So, and how you can engage this. So I will tell you what we are doing. We started this year to do tabletop simulations with the private sector. We cooperate with state institutions, with the Czech army, and we are doing these sort of games where we have a whole day simulation where we simulate escalation on the Eastern Front and what implications it could have for the Czech Republic and for the Europe. And on this example, you can clearly demonstrate what combination of issues we are facing in the economic security, in the terms of hybrid threats, communication, strategic communication. And after a whole day of this simulation, many people from the private sector, they do realize that, okay, so now we understand that the state is failing this game and we have to step in. So this will help them realize like what's really going on and how they can step in. So they can do the awareness through their communities, through their employees, because CEO might be of one company might be bigger authority for a regular citizen or employee than a minister, for example. So they can talk to them and talk about the issue. They can share data and information among themselves and with the state institutions. So also state have to find new ways of cooperation with the private sector. And again, we can look to our Nordic Baltic friends where this is already happening for years, this private public cooperation. And it's exactly based on this, that they are building together long-term trust, partnerships, also not only with the private sector, but also with academia and NGOs. They are invited to the table discussing strategies, policies on various levels, and we have to do this. And then second stream of the solution within the communication could be, as Vlada mentioned, yes, social media are running the world.
That's what I'm thinking. You've mentioned create content for social networks, hire people to do it for you. Work with emotions. So can we use influencers as, I mean, people who can talk to the younger generation, who can talk to there are influencers who are, say, over 60 or 70, so they can maybe approach the older generation. Would that work, and would that make any difference actually?
It will, if I may, just very briefly. We already started with this in the Czech Republic. There are a few organizations coordinating the network of influencers, and there is already like 100 influencers who are involved.
Okay.
And what we have started is practically doing briefings on various topics for influencers, not only us as one NGO, but like, I don't know, 20 NGOs are involved and engaged, and practically we are making awareness, like what, in every kind of topic, we are giving them briefings, we are giving them data, materials, and they can, based on that, the influencers will produce their own content for their audiences, and it works.
Well, we can see it in Slovakia, but unfortunately the other way around, we can see the government and the coalition very actively using some influencers. Is there anything else we can do?
First of all, I don't rely on state, especially not in Slovakia, and I don't rely on European Union that will help us. So only who can combat disinformation, only we are. Only who can combat disinformation. So what we try to do, we try to mobilize everybody to spread or to prepare people they know on, for example, on disinformation. So what it means concretely, we try to provide communication manual for our readers, that because, as I said, all of you know somebody who support Russia, who is anti-vaxxer. All of you have this kind of people in your families, among your classmates, in your work. So we try to provide some manual how to talk to them. We try to write the books about this, and what we can still do is called media literacy. Media literacy especially in schools. So we try to have workshops for teachers to provide them some materials, how you can deliver these issues, to explain children how algorithms work and how AI work, because now every teenager use AI, every teenager use chatbot, every teenager use Gemini. AI is for children or for young people, for some of them, the best friend. They share with AI every emotions, every problems. So we need also not only focus on social media, but also to talk to them how the chat box works. In some cases, it's positive because some psychologists say that from time to time they have children that ask for therapy. Why? Because chatbot tell them to do so. Chatbot tell them go and ask psychologist for therapy. If a teacher would say, they ignore it. When the parents say this, they ignore it. But the chatbot says, go and ask a psychologist. Some of them, they do this. So we need to communicate about this topic. And I try to be positive. There are still thousands of people. We communicate with hundreds of schools when our concrete teachers who understand this, who try to do something with this. For example, there's one concrete example. Here is one gentleman from Bardejov, from a city in northeastern Slovakia. He invited me to school, to Bardejov. When I had my voyage, I went also to other city in Svidnik when I was there. And due to one person, I could talk to students in several schools. And this kind of bubbles you can find in many cities. So we just try to encourage them to do so and provide them with some our skills and also ask them for inputs.
Okay.
If I just may comment on that, I think that you can do this in peacetime. We are not in peacetime anymore, and this is very long-term, nice to have thing. We have to approach this issue with more urgency. That's why I'm talking about the private sector and about like big players who can influence the policy and decision makers on the national and also on the European level. Private sector is really like the massive amount of the society also, and you have to engage more. Like, for example, in Czech Republic, Confederation of Industry, they have like 1.5 million of the society.
1 second, you said we were at war. What war is it? There's no war in Slovakia.
Well, there is a hybrid war. You have within the last 2 years more than 100 sabotage attacks done by Russia, which was attributed to Russia in Europe. And we have drones in NATO space. We have information warfare. We have war. We are not in peacetime. And I think this is the crucial thing that has to change the mindset of the society, that we are not in peacetime anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at the time, but we are
we're
getting
fine.
there. But I underscore everything that what was said here. It was a lot of good ideas. I like the example of our colleagues from Moldova and from Romania. When in Moldova there was the referendum on EU. And of course, it was also not the peacetime. It was kind of warlike time in Moldova, because there's a lot of effort from Russia to manipulate the elections and political situation there. And like majority of NGOs and people who are working in the field, they just went out to the regions and they were talking to the people. It was like really massive activity. Like everyone was going to some villages, remote regions, talking to the communities. And it was not saying that the European Union is beautiful and sunny and everything is, everybody will have rainbows and will be happy. But they were explaining how the European Union is working, how it's not working, what are the problems. And these people, like said usually that, from what I have heard from my colleagues from Moldova, they said like nobody ever came to our village to talk about this, and we were reading some newspapers and Telegram or whatever. We were getting the narrative from somewhere else. But when somebody came there and talked to them, it was easier to get a grasp about the European Union and the reality. So this is something that I totally agree with Andrea, that we need to mobilize the people who are right now indifferent. I spent 5 years in the business sector, and I know that many people in business sector are totally indifferent about a hybrid war, about politics, whatever.
Maybe there's a difference between Slovakia and the Czech Republic.
A lot of people don't care, but we need to like wake them up and show them that this is important. We need to work together because, as you said, Andrea, that we cannot rely on state at this time. So we need to build it from scratch and from the bottom. And this is something that might work or not, but we need to try.
And we don't have the time.
That's a problem.
Okay, final thoughts maybe. Are there any reasons to be optimistic? Or what are, I mean, we need to find reasons to be optimistic. What are the reasons to be optimistic?
How you can say in Slovakia, jazyček na váhách, how you can say it?
To tip the balance.
Okay, so when you see this, 50% of Slovak trust Russian propaganda when it's about the war. So 50% of Slovaks says that Russia is not responsible for the war. But only 25 of population in Slovakia wants to leave European Union. So 50% trust Russian propaganda, but only 25% are Russophiles. So what it means, the another 25% I see as a group that we can still influence. And when you look at the last elections, presidential elections or parliamentary elections, only few percent of population decided about the results. If 70,000 of voters of Pellegrini voted Korčok would become president. 75,000 of voters decided these elections. So this is not crucial amount of people that we cannot influence. So I focus on this 25%, and I still think that it's possible.
For me, the source for optimism would be that, as I said, we are behind the disinformation ecosystem. The ecosystem is here for more than 10 years. We started as a government started in 2020 doing these activities countering hybrid threats systematically, but also NGOs and civil society. So my hope is that we are mobilizing quite fast, and there are a lot of people and initiatives that they are working in this field. And although we are behind, I still believe that we could build a critical mass of people who will get this understanding of these problems, and we will get more resilient in the future. So my hope is that we will manage to mobilize the business sector and people who are influential in our country, and just to spread the word and make the society more resilient from within.
I think we have to be optimistic, otherwise we will lose the fight and we won't be longer living in a free world. So we have to acknowledge that resilience is everyone's business, and every sector has to contribute, every individual has to contribute, because democracy is about the people, and people has to realize this more, that they have everything in their own hands. And practically, I think that one main wish is that we have to be active, everyone, how everyone can do something. So we have to spread this word and fight, and just don't give up and keep fighting.
Okay, so the lesson here is talk to the businessmen and women and do your part yourself. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Domitian. Thank you, Vladimir. Thank you, all of you. This has been a very interesting discussion. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much for wonderful insights and the presentation as well. And I just wanted to add that we had some journalists and NGO representatives on this panel. And you are one of the pillars of free and democratic society. And I really hope that people like us in attendance will always sort of stand firm ground for you. So that's it. And now let's have a lunch break. And we will resume at 1 p.m. The lunch premises are in the lobby, which is on the right-hand side from the cloakroom. So please enjoy.